Hey everybody, welcome to episode 11 of Why Orillia. Today I am joined by my friend and our city councilor, Ralph Cipolla. Ralph, thank you so much for being on the show
Thanks
today.
for inviting me.
So I wanted to start this episode by giving you a chance to tell the viewers a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Well, my name is Ralph Cipolla. I'm a councilor in the city of Orillia. I've been in the city for a long time. Been in business for 48 years this August 29th and hope to make it to 50. Love Orillia, and our family was raised here. Our kids were born here. Our parents died here, so it's one of those things that Orillia has meant a lot to us.
Yeah, and I can tell in the years that I've known you, Orillia has a very special place in your heart, and that's why I wanted to have you on the show. So you have seen a ton of change in the city of Orillia. From the day you came here to today, there's been a ton of change over the time that you've been here. Are there a couple or one turning points that really made you think, okay, when this happened or when this happened in town, Orillia sort of had a different feel?
There's about three things that really changed Orillia perception from the public, not necessarily local. One was the development of the waterfront, the Port of Orillia. It started to bring poachers, so we're the jewel of, I say the jewel of the Nile, but it's the jewel of the Trent. That was one of the key issues. The second one was I've been spent 40 years trying to get a rec center built here for our children and our grandchildren so that they have a place to be able to perform and be able to enhance their athletic abilities, and hopefully, like some of the people here, will make it further up to the Olympics or wherever. And the third thing, and really important to us, is the development of the downtown revitalization program. When I was on council in 77, 78, I instigated through then Mayor Frank Dalcourt, and we were successful. The trees that you see on the main street, the planters, and so on and so on. And I think that made a great change to the perception that's held outside of our own city boundaries, right, so that the tourism economic benefits to our community is incredible.
Absolutely, and so that's a really good, I mean, you've got a ton of the history of Orillia, and it's amazing when we have these turning points and things that happen, and so one of the things that makes a great community is this incredibly rich history that we have, but you know, in my opinion, it's almost, it could all be for nothing if we don't have a bright future, and I certainly think we have a bright future, and what excites you about the future in Orillia?
There's a couple of things that excite me. One is the completion of the rec center on West Street. I know there's controversies about the environment and everything else, but we couldn't find another 36 acres in the middle of town that everybody could either walk to or travel to, so that's one of the reasons. And I think it will be, I know it will be very, very successful. All indications are, and the reports that I have, is that we'll attract somewhere between 600 and 700,000 people a year to that particular location, which means tourist dollars and also community dollars spread throughout the community. And that's one of the key elements. The other one is our waterfront. The waterfront, the way this council has come together to see how we can make it work and have some residential as well as some employment lands, employment factor. We need employment in our city now, and I think that's one of the key issues that's going to come up in the next council as well as this one. So we just got to work a little harder to make it happen, but I think we can.
And to that point, I was in I can't remember which interview it was in, and we were talking about, you know, we're all looking towards the future, and we're all talking about how the future is bright, but there's all of these things that we need to do, and everybody always points at council, but it is really important to note that over the course of time, council's done an incredible job of what, you know, where Orillia was and where it is today. And there's a lot of cities in the area that have experienced growth, but not in the way that Orillia has, with growing while keeping this sense of community.
Well, I think a sense of community is the right term, because we want to feel welcome, and you want to feel that, hey, we have a lot of history. Just this past weekend, we had the Mariposa Folk Festival, which was started here in 1961, which is recognized throughout North America as one of the best folk festival in Canada and North America. And that brought, especially this weekend, over 30,000 people to our community over the 3 days, which means, again, economic development for tourist dollars. So I think those are the kind of things that make us better. Plus, we've managed to keep our own heritage look to the city. We haven't gone way overboard with a whole bunch of high rises on our waterfront yet, and or I shouldn't say yet, ever. So I think that's, and we ask for input from the community quite a bit through council, through our different aspects of our community.
Absolutely. So we all have these sort of expectations, and we all have this vision for the future of what we'd love Orillia to look like, and then there's sort of the realities of sometimes there's obstacles to get there. If I gave you a magic wand right now and said wave it and you can have one thing, anything you want in the city of Orillia, what would that be?
To me personally, I'd like to see us have a conference center somewhere close to the waterfront so that we can employ about 160 people. We tried that in 2006 and we almost had it, but one vote of council turned it down. So I think by creating jobs that our middle class can accomplish, I mean, yeah, we can have all the high paying jobs and everything else that through whether it's Hydro One or Orillia Power or the city. But one of the main things is to try and get the middle class jobs that some of them don't have post high school degrees or they have a college degree and that. So I think the service industry and the health industry within our community, we're all getting older, so that's going to be more prevalent in our community. So I think our senior population is looking forward to either a revamped hospital and that kind of stuff. So I think we're looking at, and actually if you look at this picture here, this is one of our greatest promoters for the city of Orillia, Gordon Lightfoot. And I think that's what makes it unique. We have some really great people that promote Orillia.
Gordon, if you're watching, I'd love to have you on the show.
Just make him a phone call, I'm sure he will.
Absolutely. And so, Ralph, so many people in this city know you. I mean, I call you Mr. Orillia.
No.
I have a lot of love and respect for you, and we've done a lot over the years. And I know that so many people feel the same way about you. Is there one thing that the world might be surprised to find out about Ralph Cipolla?
Might be one or two. One is that we came to this city, Orillia, back in 1955 with $10 in our pocket. And this community has been exceptionally respectful to us, both as entrepreneurs and as immigrants to Canada. And my mom and dad couldn't speak English very well, and he worked at Door Oliver Longs and for many years. But the community accepted who we were and what we did. We worked extremely hard. We had some great education from Park Street Collegiate, which I attended, and ODCVI. But I think that's where I'm so passionate about Orillia. I love Orillia. I could be, as you mentioned earlier, anywhere in Canada. As a matter of fact, I had lots of opportunities through a couple of our manufacturers to offer me to be marketing director for their companies with 10 times the money I was making with my own store, sort of thing. So, like I said, we've been in business 48 years. The people of Orillia have supported us, and we just have to find a way to give back. One of the ways I gave back was through council, making decisions like our waterfront and our rec center and our downtown revitalization. But one of the things I really am excited about is what the future is going to bring along the waterfront. We need to lessen our taxes in Orillia, and the only way we're going to do that, and you're being in real estate and know what I'm talking about, is to see if we can get more people living in Orillia.
Yes.
And buying houses so that we can get the tax base and the tax assessment even higher. When NPAC does an assessment, they tend to assess us as everybody lives on the water, because we do live on the water on two lakes. So the assessments are really high compared to some of the other cities. But I think by having more people move to Orillia, and that will help us alleviate that. But the key thing is what we have to do is create employment for our middle class, our youth. Our youth is our, as you know, a young guy like yourself, is our future, and we have to make sure that you're accommodated to what you want to do. I had a lot of respect for your parents for what they did, especially your dad, and God bless him. He's in a better place in a different world. But I think that's the kind of people that we want to move to our community that can contribute back, and I think that's starting to happen with the redevelopment of the waterfront, both from a commercial and as I said, a conference center which employs a hotel and everything else. I think that will give us that opportunity.
I couldn't agree more. And so the final question that I always end the show on, and it's the name of the show, and it's perhaps the most important question of the day, is why Orillia? And you may have answered it, but if you had to pick one thing, why do you stay? What is keeping you from moving to God knows where tomorrow? Why Orillia?
Orillia, I'm very passionate about Orillia, and the only reason I say that is because the way Orillians treated us back when we needed, not help, but we needed
Right.
to be accepted in the community. Somebody told me that back then, some of us immigrants couldn't buy a house north of Coldwater Road. Whether that's true or not, I'm not familiar, but that's the reason. I'm very passionate about Orillia, and I raised my 3 children here because it's safe. You look what's happening around the world in Toronto and everything else. My 3 children were raised here. They're very successful now. One's a teacher, one's a marketing director in Canada, and the other one's a nutritionist.
Yeah.
And I just became a grandfather, so they came up to see me in Orillia over the weekend, and it was fantastic.
Yeah.
And that's what the driving force is for me. The passionate that I have for Orillia is because I love it.
It's paradise. I was driving on Friday down to Toronto for a wedding with my wife, and the traffic heading north was insane. And I said, can you believe these people drive 3 hours every weekend just to spend a little bit of time where we live all year round?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And it's absolutely amazing. So Ralph, thank you so much for being on the show.
It's been my pleasure.
It
All
means
the
the world
best
to me.
Yeah.
And thank you so much.